If you are thinking about moving to Kenosha, Wisconsin from Illinois, stop. Not forever, just for the next 10 minutes. Because there are 5 things about this move that most people only figure out after they're already here. And I'm going to walk you through all 5 of them right now. I'm Chad Scott, the unofficial mayor of Kenosha, and I'm a local real estate agent, and I help people make this exact move every single year. I know this market, I know this community, and I know the questions nobody thinks to ask until it's too late. Download the free Illinois to Kenosha relocation guide, link below. It covers everything in this video and more. Now let's get into it. These 5 things are not meant to scare you off. Most of my clients who made this move tell me it is one of the best decisions that they ever made. But there's a big difference between a smooth relocation and a stressful one. And that difference almost always comes down to knowing what you're walking into before you sign anything. The number one reason people start looking at Kenosha is the reason that we talk about a lot: the property tax difference. If you're coming from Lake County or Cook County, the gap is real and it's significant. But here's what I want you to understand before you get too excited. Wisconsin property taxes are not low. They're just lower than Illinois. That's not the same thing. A home around $400,000 in Kenosha is going to carry a property tax bill in the range that you will want to verify before you go under contract. The number varies by municipality, by school district, and by assessed value. Pleasant Prairie sits in the Kenosha Unified School District. Bristol is different. Those boundaries matter when you're comparing homes that look identical on paper. But generally in the $400,000 range, property taxes in the Kenosha area will be in that $4,000 to $7,000 a year range. A buyer that we helped last year was able to afford a higher priced home just because of the tax savings after they realized how much they would be saving every month just off the tax savings. They were able to get a much bigger house in an area that they really wanted because they were saving so much on taxes here in Wisconsin compared to what they were paying in Illinois. They were so much happier, they got a much bigger house, they got more rooms, more bathrooms, and honestly, a much bigger lot size. Now, me personally, I wouldn't want that much more grass to mow, but they were ecstatic over it. A lot of buyers in Illinois are not fully leaving the Chicago workforce. They are buying in Kenosha specifically because they still have a job in the suburbs or the city. So let's talk about what the commute actually looks like from Kenosha to Chicago. The Metro UP North line runs from Kenosha down to Chicago. It's the southernmost station in Wisconsin right here in Kenosha. If you're commuting by train, you're looking at roughly an hour and 40 minutes to Ogilvy's Transportation Center, depending on the schedule and your specific stop. It's not too bad. By car, you're looking at anywhere from 50 minutes to over 90 minutes, depending on where you're going and what time you leave in traffic. If you're driving to downtown Chicago during peak hours, budget closer to the 90-minute mark. If you're going to the northern suburbs like Northbrook, Deerfield, or Waukegan, you can shave sometimes a lot of time off that delivery time, off that commute time. Here's what I tell every client who raises this: the commute is not a problem if you plan around it. People who struggle with the Kenosha commute are the ones who did not account for it in advance. The ones who do well pick their neighborhood based on the direction that they're driving or riding, and they make it work. We have another past client who lives here in the Kenosha area, specifically here in Pleasant Prairie, who picked Pleasant Prairie because they drive daily to Northbrook, Illinois. But they picked Pleasant Prairie because it's closer to the Illinois border, close to the interstate. And they get to Northbrook in about 40-ish minutes, depending on the time that they have to leave. But they don't plan on ever leaving their job in Northbrook because they absolutely love their job and they want to retire from their job here in the next year or two. So they want to keep commuting from Pleasant Prairie to Northbrook every day for the next couple of years until they get to that retirement age. They don't mind the job for them. They think that's a great little drive. They enjoy the time alone in their car, listening to podcasts, audiobooks, and just thinking to themselves. So for some people, the drive is a time to relax. For other people, they don't like the drive, they prefer the train, or they prefer making the drive for just a few months and maybe finding a job here in Wisconsin. Everybody's a little bit different. You have to factor that in when you're looking for a house here in Wisconsin. When people think of Kenosha, they often picture either the lakefront downtown or a generic suburb. The reality is that Kenosha has a range of neighborhood personalities that are generally different from each other, and which one fits you matters a lot. Pleasant Prairie is the fastest growing area in Kenosha County. It has newer construction, planned developments, and easy interstate access. Strong commercial activity along Highway 165 and Highway 50. If you're coming from a northern Illinois suburb like Gurnee or Vernon Hills, Pleasant Prairie will feel very familiar, in a good way. Summers has a different feel. It's more rural pockets, larger lots, and a quieter pace. It attracts buyers who specifically want to get away from the density that they left behind. Now, Downtown Kenosha and the Harbor Park area, on the other hand, are for a different buyer entirely. There's real momentum happening along the lakefront right now. The $450 million Harbor Park redevelopment, the Carrick building that just opened in January of this year. The area is changing. If you're drawn to walkability, waterfront access, and a more urban energy in a small city, this part of Kenosha deserves your attention. The point is, when you're searching for your homes, you are not just shopping a price range, you're choosing a neighborhood personality. Get clear on what you actually want before you start touring. So let's talk about schools for a second. Obviously, different cities have different schools, so depending on the city that you buy in, determines the school district that you're in. Of course, different school districts have different schools in them. For instance, Pleasant Prairie has higher rated schools than parts of Kenosha has, and Summers has higher rated schools than parts of Kenosha has. So when we're working with buyers, especially buyers that have kids, those buyers are always looking at schools and how the schools are rated. So why does this matter? Well, this matters beyond the obvious, because when you're comparing two homes at a similar price in two different parts of Kenosha, well, you may be comparing two different school situations at the same time. And if you ever sell, the buyer who comes after you is going to be asking the same questions as you. So my recommendation, before you fall in love with a specific address, verify the school district or the school specifically. It takes 30 seconds and it can completely change how you feel about a property. Most buyers that we work with have kids prioritize schools, especially the elementary schools. They really like the schools that are in Pleasant Prairie and the north side of Kenosha, especially in summers. So if you're looking in either one of those areas, check out the schools, see how they're rated. If you have kids, how do you feel about those schools? Would you feel good about those schools if you were buying that house, or if you are buying that house? If you're coming from a slower Illinois market, and depending on where you are coming from, you need to understand that Kenosha's market in the entry and mid-range price points are active. Well-priced homes in Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha, or Summers in the $350,000 to $500,000 price range and under do not sit. What does that mean for you as a buyer coming from out of state? It means that you cannot afford to be in research mode when you should be in decision mode. The buyers who miss deals are almost always the ones who are not pre-approved, not clear on their criteria, and not working with someone who can move quickly when the right property comes up. Being from Illinois actually puts you at a slight advantage if you understand one thing. If you are selling in Illinois first and you have equity to work with, you walk into this market with purchasing power that a lot of local buyers are still building. Use that to your advantage. Our clients that are clear about what they want, where they want to buy, and have their budget all set are the buyers that are out there winning and getting their offers accepted the first time in today's market and not getting let down by having their offer rejected on home after home. They have a plan and a strategy that we came up with together and are ready to execute today, not tomorrow. If any of what I just covered applies to your situation, if you're looking at Kenosha and you are trying to get a real picture of what this move actually looks like, I'm available for a private one-on-one call. No pressure, no sales pitch. Just a real conversation about where you are in the process and what questions you still have. The link to schedule is in the description below. The people who have the smoothest move to Kenosha are not the ones who got lucky. They are the ones who did exactly what you are doing right now. They asked the hard questions before they signed anything. These 5 things are the foundation. The rest we can work through together when you're ready. I'll see you in the next video.